Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. Solly here. This is part 3 of our travel series, How to Plan a Trip to Scotland. We've previously covered the East Lothian area, St. Andrews, all of that. It's a pretty all-encompassing episode talking about golf in Scotland and why we think that should be the first place you plan a trip to. The second part was the East Lothian area, Muirfield, North Berwick, Renaissance, that part of the country. And part 3 is going to cover the Highlands area. We're going to talk about Royal Dornoch, all the other courses up along that way. I'm not going to, I don't want to say all the names of the courses because you got to understand the full context of the conversation. We brought Ru Macdonald back on, of course, from our Scottish golf guru, who's going to help us along the way. TC obviously very well traveled in that area, and this is all we've got. We get a lot of emails, a lot of questions about planning golf trips. We are slowly working our way through different locations, trying to put that all into one place in podcast form. So we appreciate everyone that's given us feedback on these episodes. Want to give a shout out to our friends at Rhoback. You guys know how much we love Rhoback. The crisp polos, subtle dog logo. You can barely even see it on this little workout shirt that I love wearing, how subtle that is. The most comfortable hoodies on the planet. We've teamed up with Rhoback and Nairn Hills to give you a shot at a bucket list golf experience. You and a friend will join 2 members of the NLU crew for an unforgettable round of championship golf at Nairn Hills. The prize includes, again, a round with 2 members of NLU at Nairn Hills, a one-night stay in Nairn Hills world-class cottages, a travel credit to get you there, and $1,000 in Rhoback gear to get you to look and feel your best on the golf course. All you got to do, go to rhoback.com/NLU to enter. It takes 30 seconds, and you might end up teaming up with one of us at one of the top golf courses in the world, and you're going to be wearing some fantastic gear while you do it. Again, shout out to our friends at Rhoback, great supporters of our content over the years and into the future as well. Rhoback.com/NLU to enter. Without any further delay, here's the pod. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Planning Your Scotland Golf Trip on the No Laying Up podcast. Solly here, joined by my guy, Mr. Scotland himself. Could be introducing either one of these guys, but it's Mr. TC. Hello, Tron.
Oh, that's going to piss people off. I'm excited for this episode. This is this is the place I daydream about maybe the most of anywhere. I'm daydreaming about it for a future trip already. Great to be here, Solly.
And we are joined by somebody who knows the Highlands better than anybody I have in my phone book. That is Mr. Ru Macdonald. Hello, Ru. Where do we find you this morning?
Hello. You find me overlooking the 18th green in St. Andrews. I'm looking over the West Sands in St. Andrews, and I have a 5-hour road trip down to Macrahanish after this. So yeah, hopefully this is a nice palate cleanser before that. And of course, you find us all before Royal Portrush in a couple of weeks' time. So it's very much links golf season.
It is links golf season. We're recording this here. This is July 1st for those. We're still unsure when this is going to be published, but it's always links golf season in our minds. But TC, you've been to this region a couple times. My experience is kind of medium in this region. I've been twice, but kind of played the same 4 courses. We're going to break down the courses similar to how we did on a previous podcast. The previous episodes we've done, kind of tiering them out, helping you plan your Scottish golf trip if you're heading to this region. But when I say Highlands, what do you think of? Why are you daydreaming today?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say I think of Dornoch. I just think of walking down 14 Foxy or going down the hill down 3, 4, 5, 6 there at Dornoch. I think of Brora. That's kind of really what I think of. But I think as I've taken 3 trips now, and really what I've had more of is like seeing how much more there is to it. And not really, I think Inverness is getting a lot cooler, a lot there's just more going on. But I think also just we've been to Nairn, but Castle Stewart Cabot, whatever is doing well. And then you've got other stuff up, kind of in the Cairngorms that is still considered Highlands as well. That like Boat of Garton, when I went there, that just knocked my socks off. So the more I think about the Highlands, the more it's like, man, I've only scratched the surface, and I cannot wait to get back because it seems like it's just heaven. It's my favorite area of Scotland.
Yeah, this is one of the regions we did cover on Tourist Sauce Season 2, which is on our YouTube channel. Listen, do we wish we had full-on cameras and some of the technology we have today and our production style today? And listen, maybe we have to redo that one as well. But I'm happy to go back there. But you will find a bunch of courses on that season. We went to Royal Dornoch, we went to Brora, we went to Castle Stewart, which is now known as Cabot Highlands. Is that what it is now? Yeah. And then We played Nairn as well. But when I say Highlands, Ru, what is considered the Highlands region, and what is this region, I guess, known for? We've touched on Dornoch, but when somebody asks you what are the Highlands, why would people go there, and what defines it?
Yeah, I think I also like TC, kind of closing my eyes and hopefully the listeners, when they think of Scotland, they think of huge landscapes, rolling mountains, lochs, seas, and that is what we see when we travel through the Highlands. So I think of that. I think of anything that's really north of the Aberdeen area. The Cairngorm mountain range kind of cuts through the centre of Scotland, and it divides, essentially divides the urban area, which is Edinburgh and Glasgow and Dundee, the main kind of population in Scotland, and then the remote north of Scotland. So yeah, I think we all touched on there. The three main ones historically have been Nairn, Castle Stewart, which is now Cabot Highlands, and Royal Dornoch. I think over the last 5 or 6 years, in part to you guys and what you did with Tourist Sauce, I think you're seeing more and more people gravitate to these other areas of Scotland. And I'm going to say it, probably in the next 10 years, you'll see Dornoch as an emerging destination in its own right. And we can maybe get into that a little bit in terms of the exciting projects that are taking place there. But this is a huge destination, a huge golf destination that more and more golfers are visiting.
Hey, do we, so just for our purposes, Ru, is it, because you said everything kind of north of Aberdeen, do you consider like Moray, Lossiemouth, is that kind of its own region east of there? Is that kind of the dividing line? Or
yeah, and unfortunately, you mentioned a couple of those courses, they kind of get bypassed a little bit. I think Cullen's a great spot. You guys have got a great affinity to Cullen, but that is on the east, kind of real east corner, northeast corner. For me, the Highlands is just north of that. I would include Moray and Cullen as maybe a stop on the way to the Aberdeen region.
But I think we'll do that stuff more probably in the, Aberdeen, Fraserburgh, like that sort of episode, right? Where
yeah.
We're going to cover all the regions over the course of time. How you define them is truly up to you. But yeah, I was looking at that as well, TC, to say like some of these courses are about 3 hours from each other. I think that classifies as different regions, I think. But
yeah.
So we've covered the Fife area. We've covered the East Lothian area. Those two are relatively close to each other, about an hour and a half, hour 50 maybe, between North Berwick and St. Andrews. If you are planning a trip to the Highlands, do you think, Ru, do you only go to the Highlands? Does this region make sense to combine with another one? If you were to combine it, what would kind of shoot to the top of the list? Kind of help us. We're going to break down the individual courses and all of that, but help us link up why somebody would go to this region and how it would fit into their trip.
Yeah, I think, hopefully, without repeating myself, the sense is that you could go to these places and stay for a lot longer than people have been doing. And I think you guys have been great advocates of that. As the new golf courses come online in the area, there's obviously more reason to stay. I think at this moment in time, you're looking at 3 or 4 nights in this region and combining it with another region. I think hopefully in 8-9 years' time, that will look a little bit different and you could actually come here exclusively. And for the many, for the listeners in their 30s and 40s, I think it's having the sense of gratitude that you can come back to Scotland and Ireland for many, many years, and just giving yourself enough time to see these places properly instead of driving around. And again, I'm repeating myself, but historically, that's what people have done. And you guys, Tourist Sauce was the great example of that. Just not even
that was a good example of what not to do.
Exactly. And obviously you're doing work, but having the kind of the balls to basically slow down and just see things properly and breathe the place in, and there's no cleaner air than the Scottish Highlands to kind of breathe in a beautiful part of the world, some great golf.
Well, I think that's kind of the point of these podcasts. Is like, hey, guys, it's not that hard to print off a top 100 list and find the best courses in a particular region. I mean, you don't need our help doing that. We hopefully can share between the three of us some really great experiences that might not jump to the top of the list where, hey, you are going to be in this region for a certain period of time, but you need some filler courses. You need some, some high floor courses, some different looks, some variety. We're going to get into our tiers, which we got a lot of great feedback on those tiers in prior episodes of how we've slotted the courses out. But and that's where I think some of the beauty of this region, and I'm interested to hear kind of how Brora, Nairn and Castle Stewart kind of tier out in your guys' list. But travel wise, in and out, there is Inverness Airport, which to my knowledge seems to be growing. I haven't been back there in 8 or so years, Ru, but there's international flights that come into that area from the United States. Yet there's also people I think that would travel from into Edinburgh, maybe go to Fife first, and then maybe go to the Highlands. So kind of how do people find their way to this region typically, and what would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean Inverness is a growing airport. They have a number of connecting flights to London, Amsterdam, I believe, as well. So definitely an option. More often than not, though, it's Edinburgh still that gets a majority of direct North American flights. But if you can, try it Inverness because you've got the first golf course is literally next door at Cabot Highlands, and I'm pretty sure Cabot Highlands come and pick you up there. So you're a couple of
Like
miles away.
so close, incredibly close. For if you've never seen it on a map, like it's like 4-minute drive or something like
Yeah.
that.
Which I think something cool too, like as more, as there's just more critical mass up in this area. Plus, I'm gonna nerd out for a second. I think the A321 XLR, like that they can throw on these long and skinny routes, once that starts getting delivered to more US airlines, I think that 2 or 3 times a week, if it's Boston or Philadelphia or New York to Inverness, like they could make that work. And you throw some lay flats in the front of that thing and you only got to sell 70 to 100 seats to make it a profitable route. And if you do that, say Wednesday nights, Wednesdays, Sunday, like basically Wednesdays and Sundays or Thursdays and Sundays, like you could easily take a long weekend just to the Highlands, and you could get there, Thursday morning, you could play probably 27 holes, if not 36 holes that day. You could play all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then you could even play Sunday morning before you fly back to the States. Like I think that's going to be a killer thing. I think that's going to be an awesome thing to watch for with Scotland here in the future, the connectivity and how much more variety there is. And because right now it's just like flying these shitty 757s into Edinburgh right now, and they ramp them up in the summer with more frequency, but like they're still narrow bodies, and there's no, they're not, it's just dumping you into Edinburgh instead of, hey, getting you into Inverness. Like that saves you almost a full day right there.
Yeah. I'm so mad the whole time I lived in Amsterdam, I never jumped that KLM flight to Castle. Like I could have woke up Saturday morning, I was 15-minute train ride to the airport, flew there, about an hour flight, maybe played 36 and flown back that night. And I never did it one time. It would have cost me €100 probably to go do that. I'm such an idiot. Like it's such a cool and efficient way to do that. But so if you're going to this region, where should you stay? What are the options to stay? How many nights are you recommending based on the number of courses? You kind of mentioned that, but how would you go about booking? Do you book direct with a lot of this stuff? Do you do a tour operator that's going to help you with the region? Kind of in your experience, Ru, what would you recommend here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in love with Dornoch as a town. It's one of the few golf towns, and again, I repeat myself again, but there's some magic to the place. There's an energy. There's an energy that kind of fades away by 10 o'clock at night. So if you are some of the guys that are looking to almost go down a bachelor party kind of experience, Dornoch's maybe not for you, unless you've got self catering accommodation that you can take the party home too. But what has been really encouraging with Dornoch is there's a couple of larger hotels coming online there, ones that have sort of 50 bedrooms. So the opportunity to stay there, the other amenities that come with that, I just think there's something to be said about walking back to your accommodation and then walking back to your golf the next day. Walking to the coffee shops, past the cathedral where Madonna and Guy Ritchie got married. So there's all this cool stuff going on, and there is I think some locals in Dornoch think that it's maybe becoming a bit overrun by tourists. But for me, as a kind of outsider living 3 hours away, there's still a huge amount of charm and sense of place there, which is somewhat lost in St Andrews, just with how vibrant and busy it is.
If we're tiering out hotels or what What are some of the places? I think I stayed at the Dornoch Hotel several years ago, and I think it at the time, at least, it was ready for a renovation. Has it been renovated? What do you recommend people go find there?
Yeah, well, I think arguably the best golf accommodation is Link's House, which is owned by a Chicago businessman, Todd Warnock, who's a philanthropist and spent a lot of money in the town and has created this incredible 5-star experience literally next door to the clubhouse there. So that is a free ad. And then the new bigger sort of spot that's online is the Dornoch Station Hotel, which is part of the Marine and Lawn group, and that is right now next to the first fairway. And then you have a bunch of other hotels in the town, more and more self-catering lodging. So definitely plenty choice. I would be like a lot of these trips, booking about 18 months ahead now as
Yeah.
tee times come online. I'm almost certain that Royal Dornoch's tee times went live in May of this year. So you are kind of, definitely at least 12 months ahead now at this point to book tee times. And that's probably our tier one, right? I think before we dive into it, that is everyone's tier one. It's probably top 5 golf courses outside the United States regularly, year on year.
Yeah.
It's top 5 golf courses in the world for me. I mean, it's there's just something special about it. Sally, is the Royal Golf Hotel, is that the Hotel Dornoch that you're talking about, or is that
Yeah, that's the one
different one?
right next to the car, in the
Okay.
car park there on the left.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I mean, I don't even remember the rooms. I just like the ability to walk out that back door and be on the first tee there and walk through that little archway. That's just like that's to me what I think of when I think of Dornoch, and having a scotch on the in that back room there. Like that back room and just for breakfast or for dinner or just drinks is like that's heaven to me. Like being able to play till 10:30 p.m. at night, late, you're so far north, and then retiring to that back room and just, talking about the day. Like that to me is like probably like that would be like bury me there kind of thing. It's just and as someone who like loves hotels and used to work in that industry, like that to me is like everything that I dream of it, you know, in a hotel, of just like sense of place, great location, great service. There's all those bag tags hanging from that bar in there. It's so cool.
God. Oh, I hate doing these pods, man. Get me on the road. Get me back out there.
No.
Man, I love doing them, but I hate doing it without it on the schedule. And hearing Bruce say 18 months out, now
Yeah.
I know I'm that much farther away from doing
Yeah.
it. But well, let's get into some golf courses then. Let's talk about our tiers, because we got some feedback on this the last time around.
Loud feedback.
Differing opinions on how it works. As mentioned, it's not hard to rank the course. It's not that hard to rank the courses. Not that hard to come up with a list of the top ones. It's a little harder, I think, and that was the goal of the exercise, to get them into these 4 tiers. You can critique it however you like, but tier 1 is must play, no questions asked. Base your trip around these courses and do not miss them. I think we had said Carnoustie was in the tier 2, which is a series of courses to select from. You cannot go wrong with these, but probably can't play them all. By definition, I think on the Carnoustie, I have been to the Fife region multiple times and not played Carnoustie. I greatly enjoy that golf course. It's 40 minutes from St. Andrews. I've maybe played it 4 or 5 times. Freaking love the place. By definition, I have not considered it must play because I've gone to the region and not played it. Sometimes it works into the trip. Sometimes you're doing kind of more of the Ely and Crail thing in that region. So it is. I just want to emphasize how hard it is to get into tier 1. And the goal, the tier 1 is like, here is why you go to this region to play this course, and the rest kind of fill in. Tier 2 is still a massive, massive compliment and a massively very, very good golf course that you should play. TC, I don't know if you have any color here.
Yeah, no, I think that was the one we got probably the most feedback on in the Fife episode. In the East Lothian episode, a lot of the Craigie Law members reached out, which was very, very
TC's
jarring.
got a thing going with the Craigie Law members right now.
Again, this is for out of town, largely international visitors. This isn't for like, hey, if you're Scottish, just straight up rank the golf courses, right? And like, I'm not traveling to East Lothian, much less Scotland, to go play Craigie Law. I think Gullen, it's that, like, that's a huge blind spot, and we said that on the on the pod of like, and Rue, I think I don't know if you're welcome in Gullen anymore, but
Going there
you
next
know,
week.
This is easy for us. Rue's got to live this life. He
yeah,
lives it.
yeah.
Over
But yeah,
there.
Gullen, we said like, hey, the short one sounds awesome. I can never remember if it's number one or number two. I think it's number one. Sounds like a proper links test and some of the best linksland, in all of Scotland. And then there's other ones like Lough Ness or Archerfield or places that sound great. And I think with North Berwick, like I'd just like to say as well, like that's just like North Berwick's a great golf course. Like it's I'm not slagging it off. I just think Dunbar is like it's equal. And I think that every time that I think part of the charm with North Berwick is being lost, and Rue, maybe you can speak to this a little bit, is like I think that, and this is probably a trend within Scottish golf, is a lot of these courses have gotten so high on the hog with tourist dollars that they've stopped raising their dues, or they've just jacked up their greens fees. And so then when you stop raising your dues, people keep their, older members keep their memberships for longer, even if they're not playing. And that forces, a lot of the younger guys in East Lothian are stuck on a waiting list, or the waiting list is even closed. And then it feels more like a tourist factory than ever versus, feeling like a true golf club. Rue, am I off base there with that?
Yeah, I just think there's a lack of really good golf in East Lothian. For guys our age to get in, you hear that a lot. On the Carnoustie front, I mean, there's a reason why private equity came in there and injected a bunch of cash into that. And I look forward to seeing what they do there with the Carnoustie golf links. And how do they convince or change our opinion that we don't dream of going to Carnoustie? That's a great challenge for somebody there that clearly loves Scotland and is putting up some money there to try and reshape that and hopefully bring the Open back there many, many times.
All right. Well, getting into again that we covered those first two tiers. Tier 1 must play, no questions asked. Tier 2, there's going to be probably more. There's a lot more courses in this region, in this number, and depending on the region, there might be there's more in different regions than there are others. It's not spread out equally. Maybe you can play. We described it here as you cannot go wrong, but probably can't play all of them. I probably disagree with this region, at least the ones that go and get into my tier 2. I think you can probably knock off all of them. Tier 3 is called, it's going to be not a top 100 list, but you should play at least one of these on your trip, and why. So kind of in this group are some of the courses like Crail in the Fife region, or Kilspindie I always reference in the East Lothian region, of like, hey, this isn't like the most special place in the world, but you should play a place where like real Scottish people play, that's not a tourist factory, right? That's kind of that goal, that tier 3. And tier 4 is the TC Hartzell tier, I think. Like, let's get weird. Like, if you've got the time and the curiosity to go off map, like, here's some ideas on places to go and what to expect. Again, you might not be into the weird stuff, but Cullen, I think, most definitely goes into this list. Weird pars, just
Is Cullen,
ancient.
are we saying Cullen is
No, we're not saying
okay.
Cullen is in
Okay.
this region. I'm just
Okay.
saying that's probably the
You're
golf
about to
course.
you're
No, I
about to
know.
short circuit me.
Wreck it your brain, I know, but that's a weird golf course that we've covered. Have a Torah sauce video there that, like, it's hard to stress how much, like, I think of that place more than I do. I'd say Castle Stewart, and I really like Castle Stewart, but the memory I have from playing that, and just a totally different style of golf than any I could get anywhere else in the United States or in my world, was a great memory. So I think that's kind of a goal to say that's a little, maybe that's second time through, maybe that's expert level travel. I know a lot of wide variety of people are going to listen to this, but we can cover a lot of golf courses in that region, and you should mix some in, and Rue's probably going to give you a lot of reasons why on particular golf courses.
So it sounds like, I think there's courses that expand your perception of like what golf is. And I think a
100%.
place like Cullen is like that. Like I haven't been all the way up there, but like Durness sounds like that, or Cove C. That's kind of like the hot name in the streets right now. I saw our friend Jamie Kennedy was there, not long ago. Tom Coyne took a group there. Hartzell's been trying to get me there for forever, and he's like, dude, like this place just it exists because like somebody just decided it should exist, and like the golf world is better for it, right? But it almost sounds like we're talking about there's like two levels of trips here, because I think the cool thing about the Highlands is like you can go knock off 4 or 5 days of like excellent golf, see, all the tier one, tier two stuff, get a little bit more of that flavor. And then if you want to go see the tier three, tier four stuff, that, you know, I think if you make the commitment to go see that, that stuff's going to probably live in your memory just as much as the tier one and tier two stuff. And so it's almost like it's not even tiered out. It's just a matter of how much time do you have and how adventurous do you want to be, right?
Yeah, and I think seeing one of those at least in tier 4 just allows you to appreciate the other ones way more. And again, I'm
Mhm.
repeating myself. I said that before, but it just gives you a sense of what golf was and what it looked like and how it's got to the place it's got to, and what it should look like a little bit more often.
I think with and Solly kicking it off, I think Dornoch, part of the reason it's among my top 5 favorite courses in the world is because I don't think there's a course that marries up being a true championship test. It's not that long. It's what, 7,000 yards ish, but it's truly like everything you think of when you think of uh, major championship level golf, or just the bunkering, every facet is there. But also so much, like so many times those courses start to lack the charm, where they're so big and brawny and penal. They're just kicking you in the face over and over again. Where I think Dornoch is just the views and the routing, and it's just so magical. And there's just just the cadence of the round even is, I mean, it's one of the best sets of par threes in the world. Um, and so I think Dornoch is just like no other course I've played. It's just, I think it has every ingredient of what you're looking for when, like so many people want to go play open rota courses or top 100 courses. And then they realize, wait, the only thing that's really separating these courses out from the next 100 or the next 100 after that is just having another 400 or 500 yards and, being a proper championship test. And they're not going to, you know, derive a lot of value from that, you know, from that
That makes
distinction.
sense.
Whereas Dornoch is it. It is everything that you've ever sought after in a links golf course, all rolled into one.
Yeah, the evening we that was the episode 12 of Tour Sauce season 2, the last course we played on the trip. We had the place to ourselves. I still don't really understand why. It's not like that anymore, I'm sure. And you play the first 2 holes that kind of link up the town, the hotel, the clubhouse, obviously, with the rest of the course. And then once you leave the second hole, the par 3 second hole, which standard for, of course, the phrase is almost every hole, almost every course has this hole, which second hole is the shortest par 5 in Scotland, of course, deemed by Tom Watson, which is a really difficult par 3 that you could ping pong back and forth if you get pinned high on. And then you turn left, you kind of cross a little path and you turn left to play the third hole. And it's just like, whoa, like the whole setting changes. You're playing up atop along this ridge, for 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the seventh hole. So I haven't been back since they moved the seventh hole. It was kind of a little bit more inland on this ridge. They moved it up against this ridge, keeping some vantage points. They lasered everything. It's the same hole allegedly, but helped it fit in there with the eighth hole, which is this big drop off back into this corner of the property. Then you play the back nine down the lower ridge and ride the links land along that series. And it's just hard to describe the symphony. It's just a beautiful mix of hard holes, easy holes.
There's
Just a,
elevation change and like,
yeah,
you get some wild stuff. I mean, Rue, are we glazing this place too much?
No, you just said everything I wanted to say, so that's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, golf's probably lost its way a little bit in Scotland in terms of perfect playing conditions. But I always find, and this is me geeking out here, but I always find the condition of Dornoch to be really nice and fescue and fast and firm. So, and yeah, I think it's just magical. And we haven't really spoken about the drive up there, which is not a
Yeah.
part of the golf experience, but very much part of the experience. And it's that kind of adventure that's and TC, you're a man that's adventured far and wide in Scotland, but on land and by sea. But there's something about that drive from
Yeah.
Inverness through the Highlands, over the bridges, and just arriving into this quaint village in the middle of the Scottish Highlands, which happens to have a world top 5 golf course.
Yeah, and I think, Solly, your point on 7, for instance, like, that sense of anticipation that builds throughout the drive, and then you get in, and then the golf course is out there, but you can't really see it, and then all of a sudden it just opens up when you kinda duck through after 2, and I think just the thought process and the willingness of the club to basically say, "Hey, if we could have initially done this 100 and however many years ago and built this hole and taken out all this gorse and built this hole on the cliffside, we would have done that." So now we have the wherewithal to do that. Whereas I think so many courses in the United States get so stuck in, well, no, like this is how they designed it in the first place, and
Have to
this
stay
is what
right
we're
here. Yeah.
yeah, and that was always kind of the weakest part of the course. It's a cool hole, and now likewise, I haven't been back since they redid that, but the willingness to constantly improve, and then not only that, that also opened up, putting a better tee box in on 8 and making that hole more coherent for, you know, having longer hitters have to really earn getting down the hill on 8. It's just that's just a really, like, just speed and really all the stuff that they're planning to do here in the near future too, with the Struy course and bringing in King Collins and Dormer, and, this just kinda making it, and, like, obviously new clubhouse too. That's probably the one thing that they haven't gotten right. It's probably one of the ugliest clubhouses in golf, up there with West Lancs and a few other places, but
Hey, let's take a shot at my West Legs, guys.
no, that's part of the charm though.
I know.
Finn will
But
be coming after you with that.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, but I think it's truly, like, because the Struy is always like, I've never actually played the Struy before, and it sounds like, turning maybe a strength, or just kind of the B-side course into turning a weakness into a strength is awesome. So,
Yeah, and we I think we've sold Dornoch collectively there, the championship course. And what is cool, the golf club and their various committees are at the forefront of evolution, and like you said, to the point about the 7th hole, looking to sort of tweak things without losing tradition. One initiative I feel like they've done really well, better than any golf course in Scotland, golf club in Scotland, is they have a sense of community aspect. And not every pound, but a portion of your pound that is spent there goes into the community, serving, it's a very fragile rural part of the world, and the amount of young people that are working there. They've got the golf college also nearby, and a lot of people from there work there in the summertime. So they do a great, without the golf course, Dornoch doesn't really thrive the way it does, and they've appreciate that, and they understand that, and they try and contribute what they can to the town and the people, and it's a better place for it.
It hits a little different too when you I guess like the service level and the excitement level of everybody else makes you that much more jazzed up when you understand the impact golf tourism has on the region, and like they get so excited you're there, which enhances your experience. And they don't it's not the American way of doing it, which is like kissing your ass expecting a tip. Like people are just pleasant, like super pleasant and excited you're there, and happy to share off their part of the world. So
yeah, and
tier
Solly, I
one,
think,
go ahead.
like, even just, like, you play on that low part, Randy got the shanks there on that low part and all of that. It's reading from the book
Had
of
to ruin
yardage.
one of the best stretches of golf in the world for him. He's hitting bumping hybrids to avoid hitting the shakes.
Yeah, and there's just, the way that all the holes, the different directions they go down, it's just really creative, and then you get to 14, and, like, that was one of the true spots in my golf life that I'm like, "Holy shit, this hole is different." Like, there's no bunkers, and it's just the strategy of it is incredible, and then, 15, 16, you kinda go up that ridge line, and then, 17 dips back down, and then 18 is like you got just this grand magical scale that, it's just a long, long par 4 with, like, a massive green, and you're just like, "Man, this is all the ingredients rolled into one. You've got, but I think like that progression from 3, 4, 5, 6 of like getting, progressively more
So
difficult
good.
and
6
just
is so
yeah, and then 6 is I think 6 is like a probably, one hand like top 5 favorite par 3s in all of golf. It's that good. And
just built on a little shelf into this hill. It's such a exacting shot you've got to hit, or you're going to be having a bad time. Awesome pop bunkers. I think in that tour house, like 3 of us birdied that hole, which was like one of the more rare feats I think you would ever have on that one. But it's I don't know, man. It just looks so natural. It looks like that this place was just born to be golf land. I love the 5th hole too, a short par 4 in the right wind could be drivable, but there's 3 little pop bunkers you got to negotiate and deal with at some point. If you drive it to 50 yards, I don't know how you get around those pot bunkers, but your brain's just working overload. We honestly don't need to spend all the time on Dornoch. If you're going to this region, you're gonna play it. But the amount of time we did spend on it was to say, go to the Highlands, go play golf here, go set out to see this golf course in your life because it is that good. Coming from a few guys that have seen a lot of the top golf courses in the world to definitively state how high it sits on the list, I hope is enough of an endorsement. And then we're going to have a lot more. Both of our electricities just blinked a little bit at us there, TC, but we'll have a lot more here that'll make your trip worth it. But so tier 1 must play, no questions asked. Base your trip around these courses. Do not miss them. Dornoch is in there for all 3 of us. Just going to assume that. Anything else make tier 1 in the Highlands for either of you? Raise your hand if so. Oh, he's doing it. Oh, look, he's doing it.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I think if you're in the Highlands, it's only what 20, 25 minutes north. I got to go to Brora. It's just because everything we've talked about, it's just a perfect. It's a B-side course, or it was a B-side course, but to me, it's like I think of that course just as much as I think of Dornoch, and it kind of between that and Ely, those 2 kind of introduced me to James Braid, and every James Braid course I've played since then has just knocked my socks off and been awesome. And I think the other thing that sets the Highlands apart, and you get this in other areas of Scotland, but you get it just more, um, just stronger up there, is the people. And there's just a certain sense of like, they truly appreciate you making the trip to come up there and everything. And nowhere have I gotten that more strongly than at Brora with Malcolm, the head pro, and just generally speaking, the members there and everything. Everybody's just like, man, like that, like, thank you. And it's awesome. And the course itself is just, it's everything I love about Scottish golf. Of like, you throw the yardage out the window, you throw the par out the window, and you're just like, how do I get the ball in the hole on this hole? And you got all these par 4s that range from, 250 to 450, and it's like it's like Ely. You never really like. I'm not sure even what the par is at Brora, and I don't really care. You just get out there, and it's just proper golf links land, and par 3s are awesome. And you go all the way out to this, far end on, what is that, 9 green out there, and then 10 tee, and you feel like you're playing like up to the northern tip of Scotland almost. And like and then looking back at the town, or at just the whole course laid out in front of you on the way back, is just, it's such a, that to me is like why I go to the Highlands. Like Dornoch for the golf course, and then me for like that, just standing on that 9th green, 10th tee out there and being like, holy shit, like I'm at the edge of the world right now.
Yeah, I actually make a point of telling everyone that goes to Royal Dornoch that you're not doing it right unless you go to Brora, and the amount of people that miss it blows my mind.
Yeah.
But I do agree it's changing. There's more and more people going up there, and I think you guys mentioned it. I wrote about Brora and their decision to remove the livestock, and I think you were fair. Just to remind people,
remind people of this. There's roaming livestock around the course, including cows, Highland cows, and sheep. So there was electric fences around. That was part of kind of, I don't want to say it was a bit of a novelty, but part of what attracted people there was like sheep roaming around the courses and these little tiny electric fences. that border the greens to keep the sheep off the greens was what it was known for quite some time. But some changes have taken place there, Ru.
Yeah, well, from people that have played it in the last couple of weeks, they're still there. So that's being worked through at the moment. But it's certainly for the majority of people that I speak to, that's a huge part of the experience there. And yes, it's a members golf course, and it's their prerogative to do what they want to choose to do. And I think I stated that, and you guys have mentioned that. But I do wonder, what the end result of that is. Is it a case of just climbing up a few spots in some ranking? Does it lose a little bit of what the outsiders love about it? Again, it's a members golf course, but that was certainly my thoughts there. And I think that is part from my experiences there is a huge part of it.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I'm torn there. I think that if I know the greenkeeper, he said, "Hey, I've taken this place as far as I can take it in the current iteration." I think also like, hey, if they do have, it doesn't seem like it's as wrapped up in rankings as it is just certain stuff that they want to do with bunkers here or there, or making it the best version of itself. And I know there's some sacrifice there, but I think at its heart, it's a golf course, right? And I think hey, how do you fully extract the golf course from this? And I have no problem with them trying to, you know, make it fully realized on that note. And just, even from a greenskeeping perspective, like I could see how frustrating that would be as well to constantly be cleaning up, you know, cow and sheep shit and and hoof marks and all of that stuff. So, I have no issue with it, and I applaud them. Like it's a difficult decision, right? And I applaud them for probably doing the unpopular thing, right? So, Solly, I think we're kind of burying the lead here too. This is,
Yeah.
nobody was going to ask you about it, but
Oh
you have
no,
a
I
you
don't
have a
know.
very personal.
No, yeah. I mean, a lot of people ask me about it. I'm kind of sick of talking about it, but yeah, I made a hole in one at Brora. It's not that big of a deal. There's nothing that much special about it. It was nice little easy driver over the hill, 334 yards on the 14th hole, and it went in. Like I think people have heard that story. I don't think we need to keep reliving it. Little downwind, little off the left. Looked for the ball for quite some time. Couldn't find. I don't think we need to talk about it. One of the only
Yeah.
my first hole in one of my life. I kind of ruined it a couple years later by making a hole in one on a par three. I wanted to, only ever have a hole in one on a par. No, we don't have to talk. We don't. Let's move on. We don't have to talk about it. But I honestly, TC, I'm glad you put this tier one. I still don't know where I'm going. It's like tier 1.5 for me because there's no way you should miss it if you go to Dornoch. There's no way. So by
That answers it though.
So it should
right?
go to tier 1. It also doesn't feel right that it's on the same level as Dornoch, right? Because you do go to the region to play Dornoch. I don't know if Brora has the full gravitas to pull people in as a base yourself here for this golf course, right? So I made the tiers, and so I shouldn't be in this problem. And I hate that I've walked myself into this problem, but I got to pull if you are going to this region, you can't miss it. I'm not asking you to base your trip around it, but I'm making an exception here to say tier 1. Like if you go here and don't play this, like it's a step above Castle Stewart and Nairn for me, which are going to be in the next tier. So I got to put Brora at tier 1. And Rune, I'm curious your reaction to that.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. And like all these, it's subjective, isn't it? It's all our opinion. So everyone that comments us back, we don't care.
Obviously we do because we
We obviously do, yeah.
Yeah. I just think like that kind of 2, 3, 4. Like that's truly when like we had done that whole trip, and I think we were delirious by the time we got up there. But then I remember just easing into that round and like, oh man, like this is different. This is similar to Ely, and then I don't know much about it. And then you get out to like 5 and 6, and like there's these streams that kind of run through, and there's just really like the way that it uses those streams, like 13, one of the most kind of pastoral, peaceful settings for a par 3 I've ever seen before, of just this winding stream. And every time every time I play that hole, I'm like, man, like just take a minute. There's a little bench there, and you're just looking back north, and I'm like, man, just this is about as good as it gets. And it's kind of a little reminder of like, because 10, 11, 12, you're heading back, south or southwest there. And then 13 kind of just, you take a little detour back to the northeast there. And it's like, oh man, like you get to look back out at the mountains and all of that. And then, and then 14, 15. And then 16, 17 are like, kind of awkward, interesting holes. And then 18's like a ball buster par 3 straight up the hill,
Crazy.
which is wild too. So it's got everything I love in a golf course, and all in a pretty tight package of, like, what is it, like 6,300 yards, and anybody can play it, and you're probably not going to lose a golf ball.
Folks, DJ Pie here. Quick break in the conversation to let you know that No Laying Up is brought to you by FanDuel. Whether you're dialed into every shot or just following the action on the weekend, FanDuel keeps you locked into the PGA Tour action all week long, because all customers get a profit boost every third and fourth round of this week's tournament. Use your boost on anything from closest to the pin to outright winners, top 20s, all kinds of different things. Plus, you can stack those bets to make a parlay. And if that wasn't enough, you can also track your favorite golfers in the app with live leaderboards. You got player shot tracking. TC can follow his favorite players even after they get dropped from coverage. That's always helpful. Streaming coverage for 2 featured par 3 holes and more if you can handle it. So head over to FanDuel.com/NLU, FanDuel.com/NLU to step up to the tee and take a swing at betting the PGA Tour with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, official betting operator of the PGA Tour.
It's a delight. It's something you're worth seeing in your life. And it just because if the electric fences end up going away and it becomes less of that novelty, does not mean it's not worth seeing. I get the attraction level of a certain level of tourists, of those things in particular. Honestly, I was told about this place. You got to see it. The sheep roam everywhere, and like that brought me there, which I'm glad it did bring people there and does bring people there, because the experience once you're there is different than what's advertised. It's not just a novelty. It is truly one of like a very, very, very memorable golf experience that you're going to have. So,
And Solly, I would say too, like, just another thing about tier 1 is like, a lot of the people, I would say 75% of the people listening to this are probably above a 5 or a 6 handicap. Like, it's not going to kick your teeth in. Like, like, Dornoch's a very hard golf course, and this is every reason why you come to Scotland, and you don't have to worry about like, where's my ball? Like, you can just kind of lock in on like walking around with your head up, instead of having to lock into the round and feeling like you're white knuckling it a little bit.
and I think if we could, explain, if Carnoustie was 20 to 25 minutes north of Dornoch, I think it would be tier 1 in this region for me. That being tier 2 in Fife was more of the volume of what is right at Fife. Other options, other variety options within that region, I think is, if you listen to this and say, how is Brora tier 1 and Carnoustie is not, it's about like it's not, that's not a ranking of the courses. It's relative for the region of how you should go about planning your trip, is how I would describe that. So that's our opinion on that, or my opinion. Let's get down to tier 2 then. We again define as a series of courses to select from. Cannot go wrong. Gonna have a great time. If you don't play all of them, not the end of the world on this one. Ru, you can just go through your list first of what's in tier 2, then we can kind of break it out by course, and TC, I'll go to you next.
Yeah, well, it's about time we gave Cabot Highlands, formerly Castle Stuart, some flowers here, because I personally have them to thank for my path in the industry and how I got into it. My first kind of role in the kind of social media world was actually working at the 2016 Scottish Open, won by our countryman TC Alex Nairn. So that was how I got eventually working for the DP World Tour. But what that particular place has achieved in the last few years is obviously the addition of the second golf course, Old Petty, as well. So, and they've got lodging coming online as part of the Cabot group for 2027, I believe. So that is a different experience altogether. You're the chance to stay at a resort, play 2 incredible 18-hole golf courses. I think Mark Parson is a man who I didn't get to know. But obviously he was responsible for Kingsbarns and then onto Castle Stuart. Sadly, left us too soon, but left his mark on Scotland and some of the modern golf courses, links golf courses that were built here. And for whatever reason, Castle Stuart, the original 18 there, never gets the credit. It never, for me, again, if you're looking at world rankings, it always seems to rank a little bit lower than some of its counterparts as the modern links courses in Scotland. But I love it. I think it's great. And the sense of, playing golf on holiday, having fun, finding your ball, hitting off short turf, huge playing corridors, great views. A lot of what I love about links golf in Scotland is the views and the creativity that that golf course allows you to have, using slopes and not having to carry the ball through the air a whole lot. I think it's an incredible golf course, and by all accounts, the second golf course, which is the Tom Doak one, which is coming online for preview play in August, is the reports there is I think it's going to surprise people. Clyde Johnston was the lead associate there for Tom Doak, and he's a man that everyone is bullish on as one of Tom's disciples. So
yeah,
I think everyone's pretty excited about that.
I couldn't agree more, Ru. Unlike I would, if you gave me 10 rounds between Castle Stuart and Kingsbarns, I'm going like 9-1 Castle Stuart or 8-2. Yeah.
Our feedback was a little harsh-ish, I think, on Kingsbarns for a variety of reasons. We've said, like, I don't think it's a modern, like, American style links, kind of right outside of St. Andrews. The offerings of why I think you should go to St. Andrews, the differing offerings are why you would make the trip there is not to play Kingsbarns, in my opinion. I think it if you see some of the really cool or lower different level stuff that's old and kind of makes what Scottish golf is special, then you can kind of reach that conclusion. Yet I don't feel the same way about Castle Stuart, and I'm honestly, I don't know if I can describe why. The short version would just be like, it doesn't. If you told me it was an old golf course, I would believe you and understand it. It doesn't feel especially modern. It feels like it's trying to blend in very naturally with the surroundings and not be eye candy. It's the elements, all the elements of links golf that I love are there and present and strive there. Like it's really, really, really impressive. I've played it 3 times, I think, and I think about that place a lot. And usually we're beating the drum, like, go see the old stuff, go see the old stuff, go see the quirky stuff. But man, this is a really, really, really good golf course that is a great blend of modern and old school Scottish style that I think is definitely worth your patronage.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, Sally. It feels like it's been there a lot longer than what opened in 2009. I think it's strategic. I think if you play to a certain side, especially on the back nine, if you play to a certain side of the fairway, you're gonna have a look at the green, but it's not gonna like it's strategic for low handicaps, but it's not gonna beat the shit out of high handicaps. I mean, Randy shot one of his career rounds ever there. Yeah, the front nine runs together a little bit for me, but the back nine is just like I don't know. The back nine's like one of my favorite nines in Scotland. It's like you got all these infinity greens and the way that it frames the bridges over the Firth in the distance, and you got the mountains in the background. It's awesome. It's yeah, it's pretty singular too. Of like it's got a cool clubhouse there, and it's always in great shape. You can run balls up. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's like it kind of distills down like every like cool links golf, but then makes it into this modern, fun, package that almost over indexes on some of that fun stuff, but kind of in a way that it's like, all right, like yeah, this is modern. Like it's taking all the stuff you love and like pumping it full of steroids a little bit. So I think Gil did an awesome job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you summed it up well there. And another thing I think is a huge part of the experience there is the people, and the people there have worked basically from the start. So yeah, well over 10 years, and now finally they're seeing the place come to fruition through Ben Cowan and the guys at Cabot. So the same people are still there, and they still are proud of the region they're from, and showcasing that to the North American, typically the North American golfer that comes through. So I'm really pleased with all them.
Next up, we're going to move through these just a little quicker than some of the starters on there. But this is the fourth and final course that I've played in this region. So my knowledge is going to end after this one, but definitely goes into tier 2 for me, and a place I think about. I want to play this one once, and I think about this place at a completely outsized rate for where it ranks and kind of where how many times I've played it, and that's Nairn, which is very close by to Castle Stewart as well, just a little bit farther east. Of course, it was also featured in Taurus Sauce. Great. It just seems like a great kind of ham and egg 1-2 punch between these two courses of like, yeah, you have the modern links course, and then you have another old golf course that has some of the weirdest and funnest quirks. It's a full-size length golf course. It's not like a miniature golf course, but you have several holes on the front nine that are jammed in where you're teeing off over the previous green that you just played. Some of these back tee boxes, and just an unbelievable open start to the golf course along the sea before working back inland a little bit. But I think this is firmly cannot go wrong with getting a game in at Nairn, and then it's an awesome golf course.
It's a cool routing too, like the way that you just go up the hill there. Was that 13, 14? Great club. I mean, God, Sharpie and all those guys. Like I feel like I have lifelong friends at Nairn, right? Go back in 10 years and I feel like pick up right where you left off and drink some Tenants and then wash down with a Kumel in there. So just a great club. And yeah, it truly gives you that sense too of, I think, if you're at Castle Stewart or even at Dornoch a little bit, like you go to, some of these places that you got the tour buses at, and I think Nairn, you can truly get that club feel as well. Of like, hey, you're going to a distinct members club here, but in the most welcoming way possible.
Two things to look forward to, or one thing to look forward to in particular. One of the coolest halfway houses in golf.
Been closed all 3 times I've been.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
It's off the 9th green, like way out on the far end of the property. It's an old barn. I think I have like 25 pictures in my phone of this place alone. Every time I've been there.
I'll correct you, Sully. It's an old ice house, so they used to catch salmon and yeah, all sorts of fish out there and store in the ice house. So yeah, it's a pretty unique building.
It's so freaking cool. It just set in this again, one of those places like, I can't believe I'm here right now. It's so cool. And then I don't know if they were very kind to us and let us go to explore the archive room. I assume if you ask somebody inside if you can get a tour of it, it's worthwhile. You would know nothing of the history of Nairn, and maybe you don't care about any single detail, but it's very cool to go see and read like old, just again, the history, the depth of the history of just a somewhat random golf course, kind of in Northeast Scotland, of all the old matches, all the medals, all of the stuff in there. And it's just such a well decorated golf. It's just a great golf room. And we showed some of that off in the Tour Sauce episode there as well. But it's, if you do make it there, if you can ask someone, hopefully they don't mind me sharing this, but ask somebody for a quick tour of that. It's definitely well worth your time. So.
Yeah. The only caveat, and this is more a dig at golf clubs like Nairn, is, they have that membership component and they have the visitor component. I'm looking at green fees for 2026.
Yeah, I think the green fees have gotten out of control.
Yeah.
What are they?
They're trying to tuck up underneath. What'd you say? 350 pounds?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was the same. Like I took Zach and Dan there on a trip, and like we stopped by, and it definitely feels like, hey, the Dornoch, like that tier, the top of the pops feels right, and then everybody else just tucks up right underneath them. And we talked about it on one of our previous episodes of like everybody feeling like cost means price means quality, right? Instead of like value has kind of gone out the window.
Yeah, and another thing I would sort of project is if Cool Links comes off, or as King Collins Dahmer's work and courses at Dornoch comes online, you might find that Nairn is the one that falls off the itinerary, and maybe they're just trying to cash in now when they can. So I certainly think that might be the one that people miss out on if they're short.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of an outlier, pretty far east. Everything, and yeah, you definitely have to, make it a point to get out there and back. especially if you're kind of basing yourself there around Inverness.
Excellent points there. I think, yeah, it's a little harder to enjoy at that price point. I think, you almost kind of,
Yeah.
you go in with higher expectations, than if you're going to pay that much for it. But at the same
Have you
time,
played the other one there, Nairn Dunbar?
Yeah, near the bar. Yeah, I mean, certainly that sort of tier 3 level. But the previous greenkeeper who I knew a little bit better, Richard. He's now at Royal Aberdeen, but he did some incredible work there. Did a lot of work, basically a lot of overtime. There, that's more your kind of working, members
Artisans,
club there,
yeah.
and the Nairn is the one that if you're doing well professionally, you tend to join.
Yeah.
do you see anything else in tier 2 for you?
It's so this is such a tough region for me because like I don't feel like I have the, I've been, I don't feel like I've just gone to the ends of the earth to like like Durness. I've never been to Durness. I've played Gulspie once. I've never been to Tane somehow, which is embarrassing. I've walked around Fort Rose and Rosemarkie. I've never played it. I've never been to Wick. I've never been to Cove Sea. I would say I'm tempted to put Boat of Garten into tier 2, but I think it's probably a tier 3 of it's just so far out of the way. And you really, but it's a truly different experience of like, so I guess that would be kind of the first of the tier 3. I guess we'll just kick that off is like Boat of Garten is like everything that, it just kind of turns Scottish golf on its head a little bit of it's not links. You're up, you're up in the kind of the foothills of the mountains there. There's a little steam train there that runs next to kind of the front 9. You've got it's a par 3 opener. It's James Braid. It's all the stuff that you loved at Ely and at Brora, and it's just it's just up in the mountains and just a great piece of land and all those kind of half par 4s and par 5s. And I think that yeah, I don't know, it's almost like a place that just feels like a fairy tale, or it feels like it's just like exists within your imagination of even the drive up there, you're kind of going through the moors and it's just it's almost a little bit spooky. Like I went from there to I think from Nairn down to there and then over, kind of across. And yeah, it's just it takes you into a different part of Scotland that I think a lot of people just kind of drive past on their way from Edinburgh up to Inverness, right?
It looks like it's about 50 minutes from Inverness, about an hour and a half from Dornoch, if you're basing yourself there. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I've said this before in another podcast, but, typically coming to Scotland, you want to play links golf, but Boat of Garten is kind of almost heathland, vast and firm, incredible views. And it's a nice little break from potentially 5-6 days of being battered by the wind and the links golf. So, and it's actually quite nicely placed if you're, around Inverness. Another place worth checking out non-golf is Aviemore, which is where people tend to holiday. Certainly, I holiday there with my young family. Beautiful Scots pines and the Cairngorms and all the sort of walks that you can do there. And then you've got Granted on Spey, which is another cool spot there for some sort of parkland golf, a bit of respite.
Yeah, it's solid. I think you would love Boat of Garden.
I think
anybody. Just like the way that the fairways, there's more movement in those fairways than just about anywhere I've ever seen. I don't even know if they have par 5s. I think it's a par 68. But it's truly one of those places where like, yeah, you just feel like you're playing just these like dope 340-yard holes over and over and over again. But like going for it's like not the right play either. And it's, but it's probably highly seasonal as well. Of like if you get it late summer into early fall, it's probably perfect. And it's probably not a place that I'd want to play like late April, with kind of softer turf conditions. So
that leads up tier 3 for UTC. But Ru, did you have anything else that you would have kept in tier 2 for this region? Again, series of courses to select from, can't go wrong, but you can't play them all.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have the Old Tom Morris Golf Club of Tane up in arms because I haven't played there yet either, which is an abomination.
Really?
So we need to go play there, TC. Golspie
Amen.
is great. I love Golspie. It'll be firmly in my tier 2 in that Dornoch region, sort of on the way to Brora. So another great non-golf addition here would be Dunrobin Castle, which is definitely worth seeing again, right near Golspie and on the way to Brora. So for an afternoon away from the golf course. And then I don't know if we've got any other tier 2s. The other one I was going to throw in, sort of a wild card, would be Skibo in the Carnegie Club. And TC, this is definitely your jam. It's probably one of only half a dozen private clubs in Scotland.
Oh.
So
I feel like this goes into the
he's a member there.
Renaissance thing. It's like Renaissance, and what's the one out on
Ardfin.
or the
Ardfin.
Ardfin, and like I don't know. I just don't have a whole lot of desire, and it could very well be a great golf course, but it just doesn't seem like I'm traveling. I'm giving up a day at Golspie or somewhere like that to go play it.
Well, look,
have you played it?
Yeah, I've played it, and you need to know a member. As I said, it's one of the few private courses in Scotland. It's probably 3-4 miles away from Dornoch. So yeah, great links course. Incredibly private, unfortunately. But yeah, worth checking out if you know someone.
It's hard. Yeah, I've not played Tane or Golspie, but whenever people ask me for recommendations in the Highlands regions, I've never heard a bad word about either of them. I don't know if I can rank it above Castle Stewart or Nairn, but does seem like they're worthy members, kind of in that tier 2, maybe borderline tier 3. Again, haven't seen them, so it's really hard for me to rank them. But I think it sounds like you're very unlikely to go wrong with either of those, and you might get that's a little off the beaten trail of a ton of tourists coming by, which is a fun part of a golf experience as well. You don't want to just be seeing tour buses everywhere you go.
The Brett Hochstein had a really good piece on the routing at Tane, of just how it changes throughout, and it gives it gets you into kind of different, kind of like Formby, Sally, of like you get kind of those different vegetations, or even cypress, of like you get those different. You get the forest, and then you get kind of the sandy stuff, and then you get the oceanside stuff. So, yeah, I apologize to I think Golspie's really cool. I would put Brora a step above it, but I'd say Golspie's probably like that tier 2.5. It's kind of like right between 2 and 3 for me. So.
Anything else in tier 3, Ru, that we have not mentioned so far?
Yeah, Fortrose and Rosemarkie, which is a unique golf course to say the least. It's
super cool.
It's 18 holes on a peninsula, actually directly opposite Castle Stewart, and with a lighthouse at the end of it. And yeah, just probably a case of too many golf holes crammed into a little spit of land, but it makes it fun and unique. And certainly. It probably won't be, from a golf architecture standpoint, the most promising golf courses, but memorable golf experience, absolutely. And I think TC, you maybe walked it, but you can speak for the
Yeah,
location.
I walked kind of I don't know, just like around the outside. I had like an hour, and so I just kind of popped in, and I think they've gotten duffed by coastal erosion here over the last 5 or 6 years. I know they've been doing some fundraising and trying to, it's just, yeah, like it's on this narrow spit of land that kind of goes out, yeah, it's truly, I mean, shit, like we should just pop up like a Google Maps thing on here. But yeah, like the front nine kind of loops around. So I didn't have a great sense of the back nine, because it just seemed like, that was just somehow routed within the middle of it and all of that. But there's some really cool holes on the front nine. So
yeah.
And
without sounding like a broken record here, it's when you've got time, you've got time and a place to go find these places, and you'll definitely enjoy the walk for 3 hours. Like it won't probably be the top 10 course you'll play in your life, but you'll remember it. You'll have a good time doing it.
Yeah, I would say that Tane's up there as well on that front of like everybody that I trust that's been there is like, oh yeah, this is like very proper golf course, worth seeing. Ru, have you ever played Ray?
Ray is on my bucket list, and the dunes there looking amazing. Ray and Wick, would be two on my bucket
Yeah.
list. I have played Durness. Durness is an incredible 9-hole course on the far north tip of Scotland. And as you say, it's become a bit of a spot now for hashtag content creators to get up.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's just if you had AI generate a golf course in the Highlands of Scotland, they'd create Durness. So well worth a drive if somebody's got half a day to get up there and half a day to get back. But yeah.
That's firmly in tier 4, which is, again, let's get weird. If you got time, if you're a curious traveler, if you're going off the map, kind of Durness fits into that category for you, Ru?
Yeah, Durness. Yeah, I mean, I know for a fact. I think Mike Kaiser had looked at the sand dunes up there, and next stop is Shetland. So right on the north tip of the Scottish mainland there. So
just for people's reference, it's 2 hours 51-minute drive from Inverness Airport all the way up to Durness. So we're really expanding the region, and there's not golf along the way either. You're not double dipping that with anything.
And you've got Wick. Is it Thurso?
Thurso, yeah.
Yeah, Thurso. You got Libster, which I've never heard anything about that.
I think we're tier 7 there.
Yeah, but yeah, I think the thing about Durness is not only is it so far north, it's so far west as well. It's almost, and then you're almost coming down. It's almost like the North Coast 500. You're coming down that other side. And have you ever been over to? Is it Ullapool?
Ullapool, yeah.
That looks cool as well. And you can kind of do a big circle and then go through. I got to say it, Bonar Bridge.
I'm not sure about that pronunciation. We'll go with that with your one though. It sounds a bit more interesting. What we haven't mentioned here is I think it's probably my favorite golf destination, the Scottish Highlands. It is an incredible destination for a couples trip, and if you're with a spouse that doesn't want to walk every golf course with you, it's a very easy sell to go. Let's go to the Scottish Highlands. I'll play 4 or 5 rounds of golf, and we'll go to Skye, and we'll do all this other stuff. So I see a lot of kind of young couples going on Scotland.
We're doing, and for Skye and all the other islands, we'll do that as kind of a separate deal. What about Gairloch?
Gearlock. Yeah, spectacular. Again, a massive drive, but you'll get rewarded for it. But yeah, that's certainly for people that are maybe coming back and wanting to thirst for something else. The Jim Hartzell Trail.
That's tier 16. That's where you'll find me next.
I feel like I have an obligation to cut in here at some point, and that sounds like when we're at the courses that TC can't pronounce is when I move us towards wrapping this part. But hold
on. I got 2 more. I
got a heart out here coming soon.
I know. But Strathpeffer.
Strathpeffer, that was good. I haven't played that one.
Okay. Muir of Ord.
Muir of Ord. I haven't played that one either, but now you're on some sort of castle trail.
Okay. And then Covesea's kind of the one that, I don't know whether I think it's west of Lossiemouth. So it's kind of, Covesea and Hopeman are over there, and Hartzell's just been in my ear for the last 4 years, 5 years on TC. It's unacceptable that you haven't been here before.
Yeah, Andy and Angela, who have single-handedly kept that 9-hole course. Well, they've created it and then they've maintained it. It's the Sweetens Cove of Scotland, and I've said it out loud now, so now everyone's gonna flock. But, it's it's a special place, created by 2 special people. So hopefully more and more people can go and see it.
Ru, what is the latest with Cool Links? If I remember right, maybe 8 years ago, I think right around this time of the year, we podcast and we talked about the potential development of Cool Links, which, for those that don't know what it is, can you give us a brief background and where things stand with that potential development?
Yeah, so this is a site a couple of miles north of Dornoch, described by somebody who knows a thing or two about golf courses as one of the best links golf sites in the world, and it's been fraught with a lot of environmental issues, objections, and both applications passed, and I should say that it was a Mike Kaiser backed development. It was a Bill Coor designed golf course. And you think about what those two guys have done with the links inspired golf in their latter end of their careers, and what this could be as a bit of a, walk off in the sunset together. And for them to leave a legacy in Scotland would be pretty special. And that's for the people listening to this podcast who understand those people. And if you're a non-golfer, you don't understand that. And people that care for the environment as well, and that have built golf in a minimal, low impact way. So where we are, we had a second application. A local group resurrected the project, believing that it was for social and economic benefit of the town. And where we are is, again, that passed local planning, and then it was called into the national government, and now we wait. And as I said to you guys at the start, before we press record, good things come to those who wait. So hopefully we wait a couple more months, and then we hear whether or not Cool Links gets the go ahead. I personally know that if it doesn't get the go ahead, Scotland's lost something incredible. And again, it's kind of the ignorance of people that don't play golf to say, why do we need another golf course? People listening to this podcast know there's more and more golfers. There's more and more people looking to travel to play golf, and there's more and more people falling in love with links golf adjacent golf in North America, thanks to Mike Kaiser and others. So yeah, but no doubt it would be very successful, and fingers crossed.
I mean, yeah, if there's 18-month out for Dornoch tee times, like there's room for demand. Like the demand is there, people will come.
Yeah.
Like you can keep building them, and we're gonna keep coming.
It seems like something too where it's like, man, if you get some critical mass going, the train makes sense, and you can get a kind of a shuttle system going from train stations to, it's like kind of obfuscates the need for rental cars and that sort of thing. It just makes everything make more sense up there. Ru, would you ever does it make sense to base yourself in Inverness?
Yeah, I think, yeah. I think if you're certainly, a group of golfers that maybe want to, go out a few more nights and stay out late, and yeah, I think, Dornoch for me is the choice, but I could also see, 3 out of 10 trips maybe going to Inverness.
Because there's a couple nice new hotels there in Inverness as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then you're very short drive to Castle Stewart and the other courses we mentioned. So I can see both arguments. Yeah, and then you mentioned about the economic impact. The Struy and the Dornoch third course coming online as well. Yeah, I'd be putting some chips on the Cabot Highland region for sure.
Yeah, and then from a train perspective, I've always looked at because that's kind of like that Harry Potter train, right? Kind of around that area, you can kind of take it from there and do the kind of the Highland.
The Harry Potter train, yeah. So that's become a tourist attraction for sure. So that's the Glenfiddich Viaduct, which is more on the west coast of Scotland. But yeah, you can get access to that from Inverness. Unfortunately, the railway line connectivity kind of, without getting too political, stops when you get to Scotland or Edinburgh. It doesn't go too much further north than Edinburgh, but you'll get the odd train. Yeah.
And then, Sally, to your question from earlier, this seems like the best region in Scotland to book the trip yourself.
Yeah.
What, or I think the islands, and then this of it seems like, especially if you're one that wants to plan the trip and you want to get weird, this is it for you. I think you'll probably have to get ahead of it with a Dornoch. But otherwise, I think the rest of them, you're probably in a pretty good place to you're just sending emails and booking online and calling the club. And it's probably the best of it almost feels like going back to before things were overrun down in Fife or East Lothian,
100%. I think if you're that far in advance too with Dornoch, I think you're going to be able to get in slots with the other courses that we mentioned here and build out quite a nice itinerary. So, all right, that is going to move us to wrap. This is the third of this series. We'll be back somewhat soon. I think we got to get to the Aberdeen area. We got to get, to the Ayrshire area. We got to get islands. We got a lot to do, and a lot more regions to cover. But Ru, we really appreciate your time and efforts. Enjoy your drive to Machrihanish and 36 holes you have ahead tomorrow. We're envious of that, and we'll cover that in a future episode as well. So appreciate your time, buddy.
Okay, cheers, guys.
Must be 21 and over and present in select states and 18 and over in DC, Kentucky, and Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.